Alright, so I'm getting a few questions, a few common questions on the homework assignment or what we did in class here. So I want to answer some of those for everybody. First thing I need you to remember is the y equals mx plus b, with b being my y-intercept, so where it crosses the y-axis, m being the slope. So I've discovered today that a lot of people can recall that. They know mx plus b and what the y-intercept and the slope that it's included in m and b. But then applying it to a problem, we're struggling to remember exactly how to do that. So in this case, the number one, my b, my y-intercept, the number after the x, if you will, is -5. So on the y-axis, and notice even the axes are labeled for you, x and y. So on the y-axis, going to -5, and then from that point, and here's a common mistake I see a lot of people doing. They take the slope of 6/5 and they start back at 0, 0. That's kind of defeats the purpose of plotting the y-intercept. So the y-intercept is -5. From there, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to rise 6 and run +5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so now I've got 2 points. Certainly I could use more points after that, but I've got 2 of them, a good starting point, good starting spot. I've got a symbol that does not include the equal sign, so many people are saying, yeah, it's an open circle type of a problem. Yep, that would be. So I'm going to use a dashed line, or dotted line maybe, if you will. And now I've graphed that inequality. I'm showing that it's not equal to 6/5 x minus 5, but here's my line. And the second part is I want all the y values greater than that. So find my y-axis, -5 is where it crosses. I want all the y values greater than that. So I'm going to shade everything above. Okay, and that's what my final answer would look like for number 1. So then I get to number 2. Number 2 is a little bit more challenging because it's written in standard form. It's not written in mx plus b or slope-intercept form. So my suggestion, I think, would be easiest for everybody. Let's make it in slope-intercept form. So in other words, let's get y by itself. Well, I got to get rid of an x right here. So I'm going to subtract x from both sides of my inequality. Some people like to have that line there to help them remember. So I'm left with 3y is less than or equal to, and now over here, think about combining like terms. -9 and -1x are not like terms. So currently I have 0 x's up here. I'm going to subtract 1, and I'm left with -1x minus 9. Okay, and I put the x first so that it was real close to the mx plus b form. Alright, so I got 3 times y, so undo the multiplication by inverse operations. I get y is less than or equal to, and let me clean that up a little bit. And here's where I see some questions popping up. Do I divide the -1x? Do I do the -9? Do I do both? You're doing this whole side. So we say divide both sides by 3, so the entire side. So -1 divided by 3 is -1/3. -9 divided by 3 is -3. Now, this one is written in mx plus b, or slope-intercept form, and I can graph it accordingly. -3 is my y-intercept. Rise -1, run +3. Or I could flip that around and rise +1, run -3. I plotted a couple points there, and I'm going to draw a line going through those points. Now I've included the equal to sign, so it would be like a closed circle scenario. So I'm going to use a solid line, goes through those points. And then I want to shade so that I'm including all of the y values that are less than my line. So if I'm at -3 and I want y values less than that, I'm going to shade below. Okay, and that would be my answer for number 2. Okay, when I get down to problems like number 3 and number 4, I'm doing the same exact thing. I'm still graphing these lines. Okay, slope -2/1. And in this case, I'm back to a dotted line. And I want all the y values above that or greater than that, so I'll shade here. Now I'm going to graph the other one. I'll use a red pen just to distinguish between the two. Plot a point at 2, rise 1, run 2, rise 1, run 2, or down 1, left 2, so -1, -2, and there I'm going to use a solid line. I want all the y values less than that line, so as I shade, and then I can see, hey, they overlap right here, so with my pencil, so what you would be doing on your paper, with my pencil, I'm just going to kind of darken that in a little bit, make it a little bit darker so I can really see that, hey, that's my solution right here. This is where the two intersect. Okay? That answers most of the questions as I slide through. Like number 5, it's the same thing as number 3. Or, excuse me, number 4 is the same thing as number 3. Number 5 is a lot like number 2. I need to first probably write this in slope-intercept form. The second inequality, x is greater than 1. Think about what the equation x equals 1 would look like. Number 6, same thing as number 5. I would move this to mx plus b and think about what the equation y equals -3. So what's the graph look like when all the y coordinates are -3? And then I slide down number 7 and number 8. It's just additional practice there. Okay? If that didn't answer your question specifically, or you are still a little confused on something, or want an explanation on one of those problems, shoot me an email and I'd be happy to help you.